The Church of Rock.
We've got somebody on the line that we're all happy to hear from today. It's Andy Scott from Sweet. How are you doing, Andy?
Pretty good. It's what's the time difference here?
8 hours.
Oh, is it 8 hours? Yeah. So you're just cruising in your day, and I'm getting to the point as a septuagenarian, kind of thinking about my pajamas, you know.
Two different spaces, man. Right?
Yeah.
That's awesome. I was really excited recently when I was, cruising the net and I ran across something talking about Sweet with the new album out. And I was like, wait, what's going on, man? And unbelievable. We all grew up listening to Desolation Boulevard, of course. What a staple in rock and roll. But now you've got Isolation Boulevard. It's so interesting.
It was a working title. I just threw it at the engineer and said, because they all like to have a title for what we're doing instead of just putting Sweet. What's the album going to be called? I said I haven't got a clue, and then for some reason there was a cassette of Desolation Boulevard, not a cassette, a CD knocking about, and I went, oh, Isolation Boulevard, and we all laughed, and he put it in the computer, and of course, down the line, everybody's now just taking it that is the title of the album. I mean, I think it's pretty good because it harkens back to what happened in '75, and here we are, 45 years later, releasing an album that kind of not exactly mirror images it, but it's got a lot of hits on there and about a handful of of the hard rock stuff. So
I was happy. Yeah. I was happy to see that "Love Is Like Oxygen" is on there.
Yeah, that was a choice. I mean, what we needed to do was, because we had limited time, we were between lockdowns over here, and we couldn't get the whole band in to record all together. So where we had we found as many drum tracks as we could in outtakes and various other means, like live recordings. And luckily, we had a brilliant "Love Is Like Oxygen" from Bruce, and I thought, well, there we go. We'll build it from that then.
That's brilliant. And, a lot of folks might not know, but you've released Set Me Free as a single, which is the first time it's been released officially as a single, correct?
True. A few people have recorded it. Vince from Motley Crue, and I think Steve, the guitar player from Billy Idol, and
Saxon.
There's been. Pardon?
Saxon also covered that song.
Oh yes, Saxon. In fact, Saxon's probably the more definitive version, because I think that broke into the charts as a single as well. So. From that point of view, I've also heard that there is a version by Judas Priest out there somewhere, but we'll have to see, won't we?
Wow, that sounds really interesting. Rob Halford covering Sweet. I can hear it.
He's got the voice, though, isn't he?
Oh, my Lord, he's one of the best, I have to say. Andy, did you come up with the name Isolation Boulevard? Are you the one that made the final decision that that's what you were going to call it?
Yeah, as I said, we just decided it stuck. It was a throwaway at the beginning, what we're going to call it. Oh, God, lockdown fever and all of that. And as I said, there was a CD of Desolation Boulevard knocking around the studio, and I just picked it up and went, we're going to call it Isolation Boulevard. And everybody laughed, never thinking that it would stick like that.
Yes.
But everybody you speak to goes, what a great title,
It really is. It's brilliant, man. Who is the current lineup of Sweet, so we could tell everyone who's in your band?
My drummer is Bruce Bisland. He's been with me for 30 years. He and I are the rock of the band. The the thing that everything is tethered to. It was always the drums and the guitar that kind of drove the Sweet thing. When you listen to the singles, the recordings, and the bass player is a guy called Lee Small. He's got a fantastic voice as well. Apart from myself, but we've also got two other lead singers in the band, and the actual frontman lead singer is Paul Manzi. He is, you can hear the voice on Set Me Free. It's fantastic.
Yeah, we will. Actually, I can verify that it's very fantastic. And after the chat here, we will play that new version of Set Me Free, which is going to be great for the listening audience. One of your fans, Michelle in Las Vegas, would like to know if you will be ever touring America again, if it's safe to do so in the future.
I think there are plans. Let's just put it that way. If we ever get out of this pandemic, it would be great maybe to do something. And as I say, it's in the ether at the moment. But like 3 British bands coming over, like Uriah Heep and Nazareth and Sweet, something like that would be great, wouldn't it?
Oh my gosh, yeah, that'd be a sure success. That'd be a seller for sure, man.
So. It's not something that is there. We've been talking to a lot of people. I mean, the sad fact is that we one of our original members, Steve, died last year.
Yeah,
and one of the reasons why I kept away from America as much as anything was that if he wants to go back on the road and play. That's one thing, but now he's gone. I mean, if people want to see the Sweet, then maybe there is an opportunity for us to come back out there.
Yeah. God bless everybody. You've made such just remarkable music over the years, man. I mean, really, I can't say enough about you, man. You're definitely one of my favorites as far as rock and roll bands. The Sweet, come on, man. I just love you guys, man. I'm honored to have you here.
Yeah, well, we've always felt that in America, I'm trying to think of the last time I was there. I think it was probably the mid-2000s, something like that, 2004, 2003, something like that. And touring, I do come over to the West Coast and Vegas and New York, Nashville quite regularly. I've got friends over there, and but touring-wise, we always got the feeling that people knew the songs but weren't sure who the band was,
okay, yeah. Interesting.
And I mean, what you got to understand is America is a damn big country, 51 states, isn't it?
Yeah. It's a lot. Yeah.
And you go from one state to another, and sometimes it can feel like going to another country.
No, that's exactly how I perceive it as well. The South is so much different than the North. The East and the West are completely contradictory. So, yeah, you're right about that. Did you have a particular place in America that you guys did best when you played?
We certainly did brilliantly in the Midwest, but then I think rock does that. We toured a lot with Bob Seger, so, wherever, especially after the initial onslaught in 75, we did a couple of headline tours, 75, 76, and then I think that the next time we came over in 77, 78, we were probably considered the best sandwich band, shall we say. That's the band that plays in the middle of a bill. You've got the headliner and the opening act, and we were the sandwich in the middle. Yeah, I've always liked that's a good slot to have sometimes. Yeah, it's great, except when Kiss, we did a pile of dates with Kiss and a few with Alice Cooper. Alice Cooper was doing that tour where he had the big screen. Now, you can't move that once it's in place. And it was the one where he was literally jumping through the TV screen. And we were left with probably something like 15 feet in front of it to try and get all our gear on and off stage. And the same with Kiss. The gear had to go wherever it would fit, because Kiss's gear was under the stage with holes cut, sound holes, and we were left with whatever the space was between the moonscape that they were all standing on and the front of the stage. So, however difficult it is, I remember all our amps were stacked on the side of the stage, facing across the stage, and the drum kit just had to go wherever it could.
Wow.
But these are the things that steal you. They, what is it they say? Things that that get in the way make you a better person. You come out the other side having solved the problem.
Yeah, they say that a lot of pain is actually purification.
Not in my book. I've got Mick Box from Uriah Heep and I have both got this thing about DIY. Do you understand what that is?
Do it yourself?
Yeah, when you decide to do something maybe around the house, or you decide it's called DIY over here. You get a paintbrush out, or you get a drill out, or a saw, to fix things.
Yeah.
Our DIY is don't injure yourself.
There you go. Walk with caution.
Yeah.
Hey, Andy, one of your fans in Rhode Island, America, Karen Lee, would like to know what it was like to work with Bill Wyman of the Stones back in the early days.
Sorry, you broke up on the middle of that. Can you do it one more time?
Sure. Karen Lee from Rhode Island was wondering what it was like back in the day to work with Bill Wyman as a producer.
Phil Wayman, she means.
Oh, I thought she meant Bill Wyman. Maybe I read that wrong.
Yeah, it's Phil Wayman.
Okay.
He was very good. He was a drummer himself, hence, the band always had a terrific drum sound. And he produced everything up to the Ballroom Blitz. And then from that moment onwards, we did a couple of tracks with Mike Chapman, the songwriter.
Yeah.
The 16s was one of them.
Great one.
And then from Fox on the Run onwards, it was me who was behind the desk, really.
Wow, interesting. Did you guys ever play any gigs with the Bay City Rollers by chance?
Not back in the day, but the weird thing is we did some big gigs when the band did a full reformation, or nigh on full reformation, about 5 years ago.
Okay.
They did a tour of the UK, and they played, things like the SSE Hydro in Glasgow and the O2 Arena in the Hammersmith Odeon in London and the O2 Arena in Manchester, and we did half a dozen dates with them on that tour because they were big arenas.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
We wouldn't normally have done things like that, but Les, the singer, called me and said, "Would you please come and do these dates with us?" And I said, "It would be a pleasure, Les." Once I heard how big the venues were.
Yeah, and also Woody and Alan, the late Alan Longmire, was on that show too.
They were, yeah.
Another question from one of your fans was, if you could ever put together a super group, who would be in that band?
I'm afraid most of the people that I would probably choose are long gone now.
Yeah.
People like Cozy Powell on drums. Also, just recently, one of my favorite people, I've met him a few times, Chick Corea on keyboards.
Nice.
In fact, I might play bass and let somebody like Clapton or Jimi Hendrix play the guitar.
Right. Oh, wow. Yeah, Hendrix is one of my favorites of all time for sure.
Yeah, or somebody like Steve Lukather or something like that.
Do you have a book out, Andy, or any plans to write an autobiography?
People keep saying this, and if I don't do it soon, it'll never happen. I do have something in mind. We're working on a couple of ideas, but I wouldn't just want to write something. And Andy was born in North Wales, and he went to school here. I wouldn't want to write something like that. It would have to be based around, the music years. I don't think people are that interested. That, I was brought up in a fairly normal family who used to get round the piano and sing. That kind of thing. It's a little bit, one of the best biographies that I read was about the Beach Boys, and that starts and flashbacks, goes way back and then comes forward, and it's something different if I was going to do it.
Right. Another fan was wondering, and I thought this was kind of interesting because I don't know the answer, and I thought I did, and it might be silly, but what was the song Little Willy about, and who was Willy?
Well, I have to say, I think that Mike Chapman and Nicky, they just had a thing about innuendo. They were almost like musical comedians when it came to writing words, and everything had to have a kind of alliteration and a few words that all started with the same letter and or sounded the same, like Star Chaser, Trailblazer, that kind of lyric. But Little Willy, Brian always thought it was about him. A guy who was let's put it this way, a guy who was a bit of an alley cat, who you never knew where he was going to be, and you better keep your eye on your girlfriend,
Right. I know what you're saying. Speaking of your ex-band members from the original suite, now that all these years have gone by, Andy, and you're the lone man standing, do you reflect back with, good memories about even the bad days? Have you come to terms with that stuff? I know there was a lot of falling outs and things. How do you feel about everybody these days?
Well, for me, there was no real falling out. Brian, it's well documented that his alcoholism was the main problem.
Yeah.
For me, it's been the music always. That was my part in the band, making sure that we played right when we were on stage, in the studio, making sure that the arrangements and everything that we did, was the best that we could do.
Yeah.
And it was the devil in the deep blue sea with Brian. If he left, it was never going to be the same, and if he stayed, the band might well have split up because his performances were just not there anymore. It harkens back, I think, to the time in '74 when he was stupidly out on his own somewhere, and some young lads decided to give him a beating, and is that guy from the street? He's been chatting our girlfriends up, that kind of thing. And how the hell he ended up out on his own? You don't do that when you're the lead singer in a band like Sweet. You always have somebody with you.
Yeah.
You don't drive your own car to a pub or a nightclub, or And anyway, why are you there? You know, you don't need to be. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's really...
So, you know, it in itself changes the dynamic. The one good thing was that myself, Mick Tucker, the drummer, and Steve, the bass player, were quite a tight unit, and the three of us, I don't remember ever having any real falling out. I don't even remember having any real falling out with Brian, other than the, as I say, the musical fact. I do think that the press tend to build things that aren't there.
Oh, yeah.
Because, you know, when Brian had a drink one night, somebody from a newspaper was with him, a freelancer, and he started to say things like, "Oh, they threw me out the band, and I don't have any money now." But, you know, completely untrue, because he participated in royalties and everything, you know, as if he was still a member of the band. It never changed, you know.
Right.
But they pick on a story like that, and all of a sudden, you know, we're depicted as rogues, you know, and I just don't see it, you know. In fact, one of Brian's last phone calls was to me, because he was having a lot of hassle with his backing band that he'd chosen, because he was doing some kind of cabaret club dates, and he wasn't well, and he just couldn't fulfill all the dates. So his band decided to go and do the dates as the Suite without him.
Wow, unbelievable!
And I said, how have you let that happen? And he said, "Oh, you know, you tell me." And then I suddenly realized that, you know, the guy didn't have anybody, you know, to kind of steer him. So, you know, we got onto that and, you know, stopped them in the end. And, you know, it's sometimes things that happen, they're unbelievable. But the bottom line is that, you know, that there were 4 members of Suite. Every one of us had an entitlement, and quite frankly, being on my own now, being the last man, as you said, doesn't sit very well. It's not. A few people have said to me, "God, it must be like, you know, it's that moment where you go, oh God, it's me. It's either a relief or you're unnerved," and I'm afraid I'm still a bit unnerved by it, you know.
I can't imagine, man. Yeah. Lots of love out to the families of your former band members, too, and may they all rest in peace.
Yeah, well, I mean, I do keep in touch with everybody. You know, it's not something that just disappears, and they're always entitled and happy to come to a gig and see us play, so...
That's wonderful. Have you heard about the new book that's out, the Rebel Rousers book?
No.
Yeah, I just read about it yesterday. I guess there's a book that's detailing your songs, like song by song, album by album, called Rebel Rousers.
Oh, right. I'll have to check that out. I'll get my man onto it, as they say.
Right? I want to let people know that you could go to thesuite.com if you choose to. Are there any other things you'd like to say as far as how people can get your new merchandise and albums and stuff, Andy?
Well, as I said, the Facebook and the I'm not on social media, and I stress this. If you see Andy Scott, it's not me. Okay?
Wise man.
But the Suite are obviously on Facebook and Twitter and other these platforms, and someone takes care of all of this. I contribute once in a while, and there's a new website which is really, you know, quite cool. Also, we have some vinyl that is being produced by a company called Prudential in the States.
I saw that. Some colored vinyl.
Yeah, colored vinyl, that's it. And they're up in Michigan somewhere. So you Americans, you're very lucky, because the Europeans, who order it are having to pay the duty to get it across the Atlantic to them, you know.
Oh, what a bummer, man. But at least it's out there. Isolation Boulevard is the name of the album. I'm speaking with Andy Scott from the band Sweet. Of course, the album is a reworking of the 1975 multi-million selling Desolation Boulevard. And it's been a real pleasure. I know you had a certain time limit today, and I want to honor that, Andy. And I don't want to talk your head off. But thanks so much, man, for making the time to be on the EARTHEART show today.
No, it's been a pleasure. And long may it last, mate. And if you want me to do it again, I would do it. Yeah.
Oh, man, what an honor, Andy. Thank you so much. And you can bet I'll be getting my copy of Isolation Boulevard very shortly. And again, we're going to play Set Me Free from that album. I'm going to have to let you go first because it's on the same device that I'm talking to you on. But yeah, we're going to play it for the world right now.
Thank you, mate.
Yeah. Hey, Andy, have a great evening, and I hope your pajamas are comfortable.
Thanks a lot, man.
Cheers, rock on, and thanks for the music, man.
Bye.
Cheers.